This that you're looking at is where in this vision the first two sets already took place. Now the angel, and I'll get back to them, the angel is walking me to the third set. Which really was the bigger set where he's going up on the cross. Well, no, the third set was him standing sideways. I'm sorry. This would be the fourth set. This is when he's going up on the cross, and this is how it was. That's me, you see, in front, walking like this, right there in front of Jesus, and then I walk in front of him as he is positioning himself on a wooden stool, very much like the ones we use here, with a foot dowel. And I said something to him, and he looks at me, but he didn't look real happy, or he didn't look, it wasn't real good. He was positioning himself about to go up on the cross, and he knows stuff I don't know because I can't see the future. He knows that I was being hard on him about allowing these things to happen to my brother and the other boys and to Vicky, and how they went away, and how it just doesn't seem fair, and it's not right that he can stomach all of this. Things I was saying to him about it. And so I took it that he knows what I'm saying about that. And he has a sort of hurtful look on him, and I didn't want it to be that way. I was just amazed to be there, you see. And it was sort of overriding how I felt just minutes before, even though I was tore up before the vision began. So this is how I felt when I approach him here, and I'm not sure what he's going to do. Why is he sitting in that stool? I'd said something about this, that if I only knew what he looked like, I could perhaps do a painting of him sitting on a stool, a lot like that, and put it on the wall as a wallscape art to look at in my living room, etc. Do a painting and sell the prints of him sitting there so everybody could have this. And so I figured that must be why he's sitting on that stool. Well, no, more than this, I must have hit on something with that idea, because apparently they knew up high he went down on the cross with a seat block and a foot block, just inches apart. And that's what he is doing as I pass him with the angel in front of him. He is putting his feet on the dowel, and he makes a movement showing me that he's showing the fellas that he's ready to go up on the cross, and this is how he had done it. Now the angel brisked me back off the stage in front of him, further away, and I think closed my eyes for a couple of seconds, or it was that they hoisted him up into that set you see on the left. And now, even though he was perhaps sitting on that chair, it appeared that he levitated up on a literal cross. Everything was so real-like that it was that he was in a movie. How can they do this? This was incredible how they had done this. And so now, after seeing the beautiful scene of him standing sideways with a crown on his head of thorns that was glass, transparent, now I see him on a chair being done sort of with like television effects, hoisted up on an actual cross. And he starts draping these cloths over his arms. That was something. And I was about this far back the way I have this showing here. I could still see in front of the mound, the stage platform. And so when I saw him do this with his foot 3 times, as his right leg was crossed over his left, that's when they hoisted him up. And I had noticed every time he makes a movement of whatever it is, something in the lights and something about how the fellows work this with him, that's a trigger for them to do something. And they do it right after he gives the slightest hint of something they do for him. Anything and everything. It is so precise-like. See? So this was all new to me, and I didn't realize this is how they would do things, you see. So I do know the look on his face. It might also have something to do with he realizes he's not going to show me the beating that he took before going up on the cross. However, I do remember that when they put the thorny crown on his head, blood drops started coming down, and that a thorn got him right here on the top of his nose bridge, and the blood kept dripping down, and the blood was coming down, rolling down, and now he was all red, and the blood was coming down. Well, it was too much. I thought, is this them quickening up the time that he was on the cross with the blood drops adding up? I don't know. But next thing I know, I think it was right after they nailed his hands, he scoots his hips left or right 3 times, and I see blood puddled on his lap, spilling over, going down the side of the cross. So I didn't know what to relate this to, so I overlooked this kind of. Till I had watched something that Ron White was talking about, and he had said he went down to the foot of the cross and got a sample of his blood that was there to this day. And I was like, what? I did not know this until when I saw that episode. And so now I put it together. That's Jesus showing me the blood went down that side of the cross, and here's how. So, maybe it was literally that sweating blood and the crown all did add up for enough of the first blood to go down there, and that's the blood that was retrieved years later. Or he's doing this before they kill him so that I am to remember this. Either way, that's how it happened. Because he wasn't bleeding out for that blood to add up like that. Okay? So I didn't know what I was seeing exactly, but that's how that had happened. But I thought it would have been more of an inviting look from his face as I was right next to him, passing in front of him that time. He was fine with me here, pretty much, as the angel takes me all over him, and I'm to study him and remember everything. And that's when I saw his hand. The angel, it's as though the angel tells him, and I can't hear. It's like I'm being put on three-way. But you would have thought the angel was telling him he's looking for your hand. And so you see Jesus put his hand like this out front. And then moves it back. It sets while I'm examining everything. Well, it's nothing like seeing him scoot his hand out like that. And then back. And that's how I saw the most wonderful looking scar, circle, beautiful, peachy red. So this is really elegant here as he stands there with a crown on. And then he goes like this. They make it appear red. It starts glowing red. And the angel was giving me a slow carriage ride feeling. It took us many seconds to get from here to there. It would be, you would be kind of laughing if you saw this, at how they were working me like this and how this was. But you would notice anything he wants, he gets. And anything he does with a finger or a hand, stuff happens. And so this is how this was. This is how this was. The angel takes me back. And then I watched these clouds creep in and stop right behind him. A little bit more like this. And that's why I say, if they were down here, it would have placed this perfectly as a head on top of wide shoulders. This becomes the beard then. Down to his real shoulders. Here. You understand that stuff? So, this is how it was. I did not see the mounds. But I know when he looked from left to right, it was quickly as he spoke to them. And he wasn't looking right into their eyes. So I don't believe they could have total eye contact or exact eye contact when he looked at them. And he said it quickly to each one, because he knew he was about to go down. They were going to take him out. So he's kind of in a hurry. And I saw him do the part where he looks up and like this, and he was already sort of shaking, trembling. And it was too real-like. And that's when I turned into a kid. And I blurred out like a kid. So I saw how I killed him. And it was not good. It'll stick with you. And I was trying to still hold on to my firmness about all my story parts. And how dare it all be this way. And he knows it. But I was lighting up a little bit here. And here I was still trying to hold to my firmness of everything but I knew what I was watching, and it was making me like I was about to break down for him. I got carried away for a few seconds, and I saw this lines come around. I tell you about this on an earlier segment. And they're so tightly pinched on him that when he's bloody red, they look thicker and like deep cuts. And it almost looked like the top fat cheek, the fat cheek tops were opening. You could flap them like this is what it looked like under here. And I said, you gotta hold your face together. And I said, oh. And so I caught myself. I had a head rush and I felt like a kid crying like a girl. I said, you gotta hold your face together. Oh. And I said, okay, he's just showing me his execution. He's okay, he's all right. And so I about lost it, almost like fainting. That's how I felt as the angel has me there. And this is more proof to the heavenly beings that as much as I'm in a fight with him still, you can't see anything bad happen to your hero. And I was seeing it, and it was too real, like a movie played over again in front of me. It was very traumatizing, if you really want to know the truth. And I've said that, I think I said that before, that I was traumatized here, just like I was here. This was quick, but this was something else. And when you see this guy on this side, wow, you'll want to run for a gun if you see this. And so you can say a million things here, but that's just the truth. And you wouldn't have to have known him. This kind of behavior, what was going on here, nah, this is not acceptable. No matter what. This man didn't even kill somebody. Okay. And this is why I say, also, this is where I remember, you would have been with me, you would have agreed that the Oriental Jew stood out here more than the rest of us. So down at the foot of the cross, they definitely must have felt something like this. This is not an ordinary Jew as you see this. And fish eyes become more noticeable for some reason. And that particular see-through beard, the Chinaman's beard, I call it. And I called it that while I was there. And so, where am I going here? The cross. Why do I keep coming back to this so long? There was something else I wanted to mention here. But yes, when the clouds crept in and stopped, they had got him. Just before this, the clouds come, and he dies in front of me. His head drops straight down, and the clouds stop. And I remember looking into the sun behind him, sort of spooky looking, and then the lightning strikes. And they weren't loud, they were sort of mellow, actually. They weren't as loud as I had done that before. It wasn't violent lightning, it was sort of mellow, and it was darkening. And that's how the lightning was. There was no other way. There was their chance to show me if it was a big strike of lightning up here somewhere. Well, it was 3, and it was here, and here, and 1 in the center. I don't have them drawn just right. And then they faded out of that. And the angel draws me back on stage, and we do the carriage ride again. It felt just like a slow carriage ride. We're hardly getting anywhere. And this also is what I'm getting at. This little part reminded me of that movie I was telling you with Cinderella. And I thought back on her and the prince taking the chariot ride to the ball, I think. Yeah. And how it looked as you see the stars out the window and the night sky. And it's very much like this as the angel does this. So they had this in mind, knowing I saw that movie when I was a kid. And they had in mind how I had made a comment that the closest thing I can get, I said, to feeling that I'm on a platform on a bed, laying there, and Vicky Maria's alive again, and I'm watching her standing in front of a mirror, brushing her hair. And I see the stars, and I feel so comfortable. And I had said that on occasion, just nights before this vision. So this also made me feel that. With the black night stars, I'm not scared, I'm on a platform. I'm not seeing Vicky in a vanity mirror brushing her hair like I'd said, but I'm seeing him standing sideways with a glass thorny crown. Sounds silly, but this is how it was. And here, it was like this, but he throws his fingers up again. And now, the blood red thorny crown dims, and becomes totally clear, see-through, glass. And so all I'm thinking at the time, though, is, okay, I'll have to remember A, B, C. I'll have to remember he stands this way, and the crown turns red, and we do the slow motion carriage ride. Yeah, and we get here, and he's sitting here on a chair, and I said, I just saw you there, back here, I told him. And he barely reacted to me as he looked up, because he's doing his thing. And then I see here, and I said, I'll have to remember he stands the other way here, and it is red, it dims and turns into clear glass. Now, how they do this is something else. While it was still red and dimming, it dimmed a little. Now an impression is stamped in me that I'm really seeing him far off also, like as we're going to be in heaven, and I see him way over there mingling with some people. And he's approaching them with this thing on his head, the thorny crown with the red, with a light beam ray coming down, following him. So tell me how this can be done. I'm getting 2 impressions while I'm seeing 1, but now I'm seeing 2. And then I see the crown turn into glass, see-through. Then the angel has me to here, and it was black. This is on the return where he sits here. It was black. And so my eyes are closed. And I sat in the dark. And it felt like I was sitting in a tank. And I'm waiting, and I hear, his voice. So now it is, he has risen, and he has a clear crown on, he's alive, and now, introduction to Jesus' speaking voice. So I sat in the dark, and I hear it, and I comment. And I was surprised. I was surprised at how faint it was, but yet a total, absolute mid is what he speaks from. Sort of like this, like I'm speaking now. Which also reminds me of the Indian chief again. It was just about how I'm speaking right now, and he continued to speak words I did not understand. It was an old Jew tongue, is all I can figure, unless it was the tongue that he speaks that we'll all speak when we get there. I'm unsure. Man, I'm unsure. But if a woman called his voice soft, well, that's a woman, and I don't see men saying this. I see a man coming back with me saying, yeah, it was the mid. Very much the mid, but it was so light and faint. And this is what I called it on spot. And I said, it's the old Jew talk. I don't know what he's saying. He's rolling with the words. He doesn't seem to have much change going into the next few lines and the next few lines. He might be saying the Lord's Prayer, I said. He has a voice of the mid. But it's... and I said, voice of the mid. And I said, it sounds like a pigeon in the throat. Every few words you hear grump, grump. That's what it sounded like. Grump. And I thought back on my German grandmother, one of my grandmothers that had the German talk. And she kind of had that when she'd get to certain words. Grump. And I don't hear many Jews speak Jew tongue, so I'm not sure if this has to do with the vowels. The letters and vowels that our voice speaks on. But I heard the pigeon in his throat is what I commented. And then I said, he said ish, something ish. And then I heard ish again in the middle of the words. And then towards the end I heard ish something. So 3 times I heard ish used differently 2 of those times. One time I thought it stood alone. The other 2 it sounded like a compound. Something ish. But my last comments then were, but his voice is faint. You had to be real close to hear it. Keep everything quiet. It's light, faint. Same as a small man's voice coming from a tall guy. And he ended his words there. And I almost felt that he was going to end his lines right in there, and he did. And so that's my story about how this was, is I constantly have to comment what I'm seeing and I'm supposed to make of something, so the angel knows to pass me to the next thing at hand. That I've got it, or I get as close to what I was supposed to say and the angel moves me to the next thing. So that's why I sat in the dark, listening, observing, commenting. But it was that mine was same as a small man's voice coming from a tall guy after I said light and faint. So this is the delivery of his speakage. And it just is not what a lot of us thought. Hi, it's me, Jesus. It is not this type of Shakespeare about him in his speak. He is this ultimate Shakespearean guy. That's a fact. But not so much to do with, I speak Shakespearean. No, this is not it. And I love the way the Orientals mostly have this, and this is great. And some of us have this. This is fine. Until you try to push it on me, man. I can't talk like that very oftenly. And neither did some of his buddies, and nor do all of the heavenly beings. At least not the elders. We'll have one voice, one tongue, perhaps, like he says, they say. But I believe the baritones will still have the baritone, only they won't sound aggravated at times. They won't be abrupt and sort of scare you or any of this, make you wonder. And that's what I'm seeing now. That's what I'm seeing. And I'm pretty sure I'm right. So, I don't believe there's anybody to straighten me. I'm trying to straighten all of us. So we'll get it straight about the picture of this man. And this is what I said on one of my earliest segments last year. Was, I believe it is a design of the mid about him, meaning he can relate to more of us. We can all relate to him more now because of this. Because if he came out talking like this all the time, well, that's almost not fair, almost like we can't relate to him as much. There's a slew of us that have a baritone or a raspy or a lower mid or a high mid, etc. It is not that we all speak with this soft, sort of high thing. So, some people judge by a voice sometime on a man and think wise that, oh, he doesn't talk soft enough. Well, if the man brings calmness to the atmosphere and, well, that's good enough for me. I know you can't just go changing your voice. You just can't do that. And you can't stop certain people of speaking with more of an expression about themselves. You can't do it, folks. I'm telling you. This is rotten of people to get carried away with this, especially if they're judging a person wrongly as they see or hear this. Not enough to their liking, is it, And it's not going to work with you if you're doing this. And you got an angel with you, you need to be cool with this and understand others. And you're being sort of challenged now by what I'm telling you. That you're going to have to share and mean it. Which means you'll share all the others. And their tones and colors and tone of voice. And movements and delivery of things. And their teeth smile versus a regular smile. Or whatever it is they have that works a certain way on their face. And you're going to get with it all right, because we're getting ready with all of this for him. This is to do this. And when I say we're getting closer to going home and we're at the end, I don't mean when we get to this line, that's the end. That's not what I'm telling you, right? I say we have a group of seasons and you're going to have a shield. You're going to have to be conditioned with him. Because if not, you're going to receive the plagues. See? And so, we are getting closer to the end as we know it, with our freedoms that be and the little amount of peace we have and all of this. It's all going to change here because of the meanies and the earth huggers. But it is at the end of this here, Noah's Ark door. Remember, it closed on the folks that didn't have what they were supposed to have in time. Well, it's their end. His and our adversaries that be at this time, they received the first plague. So already he's whacking them real hard with something. And then another plague. And he looks down and sees it, and pow! Another plague is delivered. And you read the plagues and know the order of this, okay? And there's more than one related to blood and water, okay? But just get to know this, how this is, because I know the visual of this. And he looks and he sees the next one. And so they drop another plague. So this is how it goes. With the atmosphere around them, things are going to change for the ones that wanted it ever so much their way and know that they're going down anyways, and they want to take a lot of us down with them. And so this is what's underlined, that hides beneath the underline, that people aren't talking about. And actually there was a gap between the table starting and the line. This must indicate the short time they feel they've got it made after all, but really, surprise, pow! The way the weathers are changing and the way things are going to go now, and the world falling into certain deteriorations of things, and God does not use his hand to stop it and make it bright and wonderful for us in every way on purpose. And so that it's only going to graduate worse and worse. So that's why I figured no matter what I do, it's not going to stop these bad players. That's just what I figured. But I do regret not coming out for everybody sooner. And I tried a year ago. And some things knocked me down so hard. Okay. But we still have a little time, so this is still a little advance warning for unsuspecting people. And so I hope you tell everybody you can to watch this while you can. They're going to try to shut these things down. And you still may be sitting there saying, is he crazy? What's he talking about? Keep learning, man, and I'm warning you. You have a chance to be a true Christian here instead of a phony one or a non-Christian. And I'm helping you. And you are to help others by telling them, watch this. And, meaning, look at him. This is the one I saw. This is the one and only. This is the real face of Jesus Christ. And I think a lot of you feel it as you see it. So this is very good. And you keep hearing and you keep looking. And you're more sure this is good, but are you telling people to please look at him? And listen to some of the last day message talk about him, because this is truly where we are. It's not exactly the end for you right here. No. Their end begins because they received the first plague. But you'll have your mind set on him, all that he offers, and you'll start trusting that this man really will appear for every eye to see and every ear to hear. And somehow he's going to rise us up off this earth and take us there. And I believe he's showing me we're going to see each other here. And I've said this before. I believe this is a meeting area or a grooming spot in our new bodies where we groom and wait for him to pick everybody up in every country, and then we all pass through Orion together is what I believe. Could I be wrong? I can be corrected. Can someone correct this? He does not use the word Orion. He does not say exactly, you'll catch up to everybody here. But he knows one of my last things was, how will I, before I went up, I said, how will I know exactly where to catch up to Vicky? Will I be able to see her on the ground? Will I be able to see her after we pass through the gates? Where will I see her? I don't even know. I was getting excited about the girl because I was all caught up in the theme of her and how she went away and how it was bothering me, and I caught some geographical things in my to-do, and I was just so consumed about this and unsure of our new makeover and unsure of how much of a girlfriend-boyfriend we're allowed to be with one when we're 1,000 years up high. Because I knew of was afterwards we come and rebuild a new earth and do this all over again in a different way. Well, I know I can take me a wife then, it looks like, or a girlfriend, or have gal friends that I frequently see and do things with. I know a little bit about this. But I want to know some things I wasn't sure of and didn't have the visual of. And so I believe he is saying, here's where I'll catch up to Vicky, which means here may be where I catch up to my brother and my family and my friends here before we ever pass through Orion. But he stands up at the very end and runs from here to here, 10 big mighty steps, and points over. Here. And it was the voice of God, and it was God the giant. But wait, it's the same man, isn't it? But he's half as size as Jesus, right? And so this is how this would go. I did not see the two of them together side by side, literally. Okay? So we need to know our Bibles a little better anyways. I know this. A lot of you do anyways. I do too, but at least I've done a lot about this through the years. And I have my reasons, and it's over the blood. And wanting out of this without committing suicide. Out of here anyways. And wanting all that he promises us. And I didn't do time with him for nothing here. And stay away from doing large-scale no-nos, you see, and huge no-nos, you see. I didn't do that many mid-scale no-nos. So this must mean, you know, you're under his sights and you know it, and you're sort of trying to score points in a way, not lose bargaining powers every time you do. You know, you're trying to please them as they watch you, as you know you're under their sights, as you know he expects some things like this of you. This is so. And it's good that he has a lot of understanding, because anyways, the best of us are still dirty. And that's what he shows. So we must have more understanding of others. I'm going to have to fix this floor because it's getting noisier every time I do a segment. And I can't just stand totally still as I do this, you understand. But it sure is sounding off with every movement here lately, huh? I'm going to have to take a break, and I forgot to put my juice in front of me too. So let's see if you can understand this. First off, I keep forgetting to say, the bottom eyelid is a brown-like stain. So you've seen certain people with a brown stained eyelid underneath. He is one of them. And that may be why the spots, the freckles on those bottom eyelids seem to be browner, because they were on brown stained eyelids. The commandment slab sag bags are not as brown. They're more like the gold man, gold Jew, with green over it, but you can see through that green most of the time that he is the molted sheep, the molted lamb. So let's see now. Here's what I was going to say. I've been trying to see this in the way of the neck mound and the murder and the thief mounds, and the blood went down, and it could have been saying in his heart the blood was trapped under the earth, the heart of a chest. Well, that may be. I wonder just how that would be in measurement. But I caught something on Ron Wyatt's segment here that I didn't catch before. And that was this line going down under the cross that they had done on a drawing for him at that location. And it seemed to go straight under the cross, barely to the side. Okay? That may be more exact to how his beard hairs are designed, because he is on his beard, on that white patch of white frost on the cross, and so his knee crossed over the other leg is why he has the crick in his beard here, and then it sweeps down. Well, it could be the very hair coming off of his foot on that white frost is symbolic of follow that zigzaggy hair down, because these are zigzagged hairs. Some of them straighten out for an inch or two, and then they zigzag again, and they'll straighten out again and zigzag again. I believe now that's it. It is more centered of the foot of the clasp at the foot of the cross as to where the chair would have been and the blood. So it would be literally here on his beard on one of those front hairs, I do suggest. Also, it could still come back as the mounds, and the cross would have been dead center, and it goes down center but barely to the side, where our heart is anyways. I think it's covered both ways, maybe all three ways. Also, this felt like I remembered when I was a teenager going into the planetarium at the university there, USF College. We sat in that dome, the planetarium, and looked up, and you really feel like you're in outer space as you sat there. Yeah, this is also the feeling of this. So I want to add that now. And also that I remember one of the institutions I was sent to when I did 3 years in prison. I would have been 19. We were literally just acres away from where the rockets blast in Sharps, Florida. And I remember while I was there, one of the rockets took off, I never forgot the feeling because we're standing there on the compound outside, and it was a countdown. And so I just never forgot the feeling of seeing way out there, many acres away. It could have been half a mile or so, something like this. And the rocket blasts off, man, and it rumbles. I remember before it takes off, it rumbles, and it rumbled all the way to our feet. I could feel it underneath the earth where I stood. Rumbling. I was like, wow. And you get to see this thing take off till it goes out of sight. Man. So that was an experience. I happened to catch certain things. And so I relate back to these type of things, the planetarium and that, and discoveries in space, how they have these things on TV and all. And how this was done, the angel takes me, and how they had done all this. And the feelings of it and everything. And wow, it's just, I'm relating to all these things from my past as a part of this. Including the speed which we picked up when we started to really soar. It was just, and you could hear the sounds. So it's intended for me to hear the, we take off and I hear the, and it got so fast with the angel wings, which once again I tell people it's about identical to a particular camera I was placed in with a shutter sound going, just as it was identical to angel's wings, picking up speed as we went. Sort of identical to space hovercraft of some sort, and the twirlies going. But I'm in the dark the whole journey. Even though it was my body lie on the bed, this is how it was about this vision. This is how they work. And I don't call it a vision only to please people. I will. It was a visit, and I was carried to a meeting place. It was a showing. And I only saw a gallery of arts for a whole year. Or more than a year. So I didn't know quite how to even have lengthy talk segments like we're doing now till I put parts together. Some of it was thinking back on this Dark Shadows TV show, how they had 3 parallel lines running in the episodes at times. I thought, but I don't know if I see that in here. And then I caught what a couple of brothers were saying online about parallels. I thought, wait, there must be. And it took me a while to really put these things all together to do all of this and speak more intelligently about all of this. There's just so many things involved here. You wouldn't believe how many things are involved here in this one showing. I told you a lot about the other time. So you can put it together yourself to see now how they work, how this is done. And realize that there's nobody online with all of this that they're telling you, because there's nobody else that has seen this particular Jew. So we're covered. I would not go to showing you this if I was not sure. It is this that comes hidden until I realize. Because I already was pretty studied up, but didn't study lately. But I already knew it was something like this anyways. I just didn't think this line of things was just yet. I would have pictured this line showing up down in here. See, but that's not the case. So, once again, Think about the serious side of this, what it comes to. Even though you get to enjoy the face of Jesus, the true one, and all of this story, and think of your own story points of things, and get it corrected up with he and the elders, but picture him. It's all him. Even though the angel is doing this too, it's just a direct hotline to Jesus. And I always went by, don't waste his time unless it's really something. And I'm not going to try something that's not right. You got to have it all in the right places when you say, and when you clean out, and when you prayer request for others, or you have a prayer with somebody. You want it all to be genuine and real, and always know your angel is here for real. Okay? Angel to your right is here for real. This is a very good thing, not a bad thing. And if it still feels like a real bad thing, then maybe you got reasons for this, or maybe you don't have the true understanding of how this really goes. So I hope I'm helping you to see this if you are dumb to a lot of this. As I was dumb to some of the parallels here, I admit being corrected about something if there's something. I don't have much of any little thing off here of any of this. Okay? Not a whole lot is expected of me because of all I have had to endure and all I have to put up with and all that I'm still looking at here and my future this next season. But still here I stand to work and do this. So that part is more amazing than you would believe, than you would think, if you only knew. And which leads me to, remember, we have to have a little more understanding of others, not just ourselves. Do feel for these ones that are having a bad time over the coronavirus, and feel for these ones that are being jailed in certain countries for not wearing a mask or being outside. They're getting real strict in certain places, so you're lucky to be in America and Europe, I guess. I'm not even sure about Russia, just how they're handling their thing over there. I'm not exactly sure about China or even Hawaii. I'm not sure. It's different from place to place. But I do know, sorry, it's not going to be the happiest life from here out in the way that you're used to climbing for this. See, it's time to draw close to the one and only, this one. And there's some good men that are going to help you with this if you go online and tell your friends to go online and tell grandmother to get up and watch these guys online. And watch this, of course. Share it with your cell phone with others. Don't do it when you're not supposed to. If you get in trouble in a class or any of this doing this, it's not the time to be saying, hey, this guy saw the one and only. You know, you do it when it's right and you turn everything down around you. Keep a clear head and feel yourself here with this. Trying to put you up there at the table of things. Not just down here, you know, and trying to figure this Bible out. Just feel it and know that it is so. They understand right where you are. And he has lenience on you on things. He is very fair from the takeoff. He is very fair about things. They want to see how you are interested in this and what's coming on this earth. What has already started. So, dear Lord, please help them see. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. I did touch this one up to make it better, nicer. How about that? All these mothers can get ready now to be more sure that they'll get to see those babies again. If you know him. Are you in? And this is where I'm going to say, I know I really don't appreciate seeing these so-called men of God with a Bible under their arm, maybe on a platform in a church hall or on a TV thing, bringing up the abortion thing and playing it up so that you'll be sapped into it more and more against it. And hey, there's not enough of them telling those women how they need to make sure they get in with him if they have done this, and make sure that they want to see that child again and report it to him and start thinking this way. Now this is going to help clean you up in ways, and you will see that he is a very forgiving, understanding person. I don't know to what degree you've done things, but this is the only way you will find a little more peace about it, and it's a for sure thing. You get in, and this is what you're going to get again, is to see that child that went away. And this is a very good thing and a good way of putting it, rather than for me to say the other stuff that you hear these arrogant men talking to try to get society to say, yeah, he's trying to stop abortion, he's a good guy, let's write him out a donation check. Man, that's a bunch of bad stuff, riling people up like this, isn't it now? Loudmouths doing that. And they're men. They're not even in a woman's body. They seem to want to call all the shots against the woman, sort of saying that she's condemned to hell, and all this is what it seems to say. Well, I'm going to show you another way, dear. You get in here. Our time is short. This will happen for you. And that's the way it is. You're going to start feeling better and look forward to resurrection, and find a little more peace about all this. So really, you don't even need to be bothered by these loud, arrogant men talking all that stuff. Most of them are phony Christians. See, they're not even going where you're going, right?